Well, a week of volatile trading in Chinese markets has left Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index 5% lower. Both Hong Kong and the mainland listed stocks fell, losing the partial recovery they made after diving earlier this week. The Hang Seng Index ended about 1.4% lower. Tech stocks fell, reversing from yesterday's gains, and the Chinese mainland listed stocks were also subdued, and we also saw the Nikkei closing down 1.8%. Back in Europe, earnings continue to take center stage with BNP Paribas, the likes of Renault, amongst the biggest names reporting today. Over stateside, we have U.S. futures which fell as a soft earnings report from Amazon threatened to dampen an otherwise strong month ahead of July's final day of trading. To get into those perspectives and also look back at the week that was, we're joined by Nesan Nair, who is from Sasfin. Nesan, thank you so much for your time. Let's look back at the week that was before we, check in on the JSE. How would you characterize the trading week so far?
Yeah, good afternoon, Nastasha. Listen, markets are unpredictable at the best of time, but I think this week came as a complete shock to a lot of people. We started off with a very weak performance coming from Naspers Monday and Tuesday as a result, of that Chinese regulatory crackdown on the tech companies. But then, in yesterday and Wednesday's session, they seem to have recovered a lot of those losses. In fact, yesterday, the market traded at an all-time high. We were sort of 200 odd points, below the key 70,000 level. And today we're back down again. The Rand also hit 15 during the course of the week. It's been a while since we've seen it at 15, maybe to February, March this year. So I think ultimately a volatile week as you described it earlier on.
Let's, hang on to what is happening in China. I mean, do you see this as something that's just the beginning? It's not yet over. And how are you feeling in terms of your sensitivity to risk when it comes to Chinese tech stocks?
Yeah, I think, a lot of people forget that China is still very much a command economy. And every now and then, the Chinese authorities need to remind the tech companies, certainly, but also the investment community who's actually in charge. Of course, the regulatory pressure we're seeing now is around the sharing or the collecting, rather, of personal information. Big topic globally. We know Papua came in at the first of this month. As well, dealing with the same issues. And of course, concerns around Meituan, the food delivery service and how they're treating customers. These are not new issues, for tech companies, certainly in the Western world. But I think the investor concern is just how heavy-handed the Chinese authorities might be. I myself think it's too early. I think it's a developing story. And I'd be cautious, to make too many quick decisions, until it unfolds a little bit more.
Okay, let's talk about something that I found very interesting, Robinhood and its IPO. Firstly, what do you think of the company? And also, what do you make of yesterday's, debut? I mean, there were some interesting articles written about Robinhood last night.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a failed IPO, but, when you used to shares popping 30, 40% in IPOs like we've seen in the US this year, and Robinhood's IPO, they're down from $38 to $34. I don't think it's exactly the sort of IPO Goldman Sachs, which was the lead bank in that IPO, was necessarily wanting. They were guiding between $38 and $42 a share, and they didn't get close to that. So I didn't think it was, a successful IPO. But then the flip side, this is a company at current exchange rates valued at over 400 billion rand. And if you think about it, FirstRand, which is South Africa's biggest bank, is only making 300 billion. So for a stockbroker that doesn't charge any fees, that's an impressive valuation, I thought.
All right, so let's talk global growth. We've been talking about the Delta variant for some time. Considering that, what else do you think would be, a challenge to the global economic recovery that we all have been anticipating or at least waiting for?
Yeah, I think very good question. And I think a lot of people focused on exactly that. For the time being, I think U.S. interest rates or the potential rise in U.S. interest rates will certainly provide a damper on global economic growth and the recovery. Remember, we haven't seen interest rates in the U.S. increase now for almost, 12, 13 years. So we're almost in uncharted territory as to how the market's going to react to it. And of course, the other concern, I think, is this developing story coming out of China. It seems like, there's a discontinuity between what's taking place in China and what's taking place in the rest of the world. And I think as long as, the feelings around China remain at these sort of levels, I think it might actually provide a little bit of a damper. And this policy uncertainty might provide a little bit of a damper on investment sentiment.
There's so much happening in the world right now. What are some of the events that you're keeping an eye on? And I know they're plenty, but if you just could give the viewers a sense as to where your thinking is right now.
So I think certainly, globally, we'll have to look at how the U.S. Earnings season develops. Remember, this second quarter earnings seasons, mixed results out of tech, as you mentioned. Apple, great results. Amazon, not so great. Next week, we've got the U.S. payrolls as well. It's the August, first week in August. We'll have to see how that develops. 850,000 expected there. I think that will have a big impact on how the U.S. Fed, sees the inflation trajectory, or certainly the interest rate trajectory panning out. For me, I think there's a whole host of things that we need to take cognizance of, in the next quarter, given that so far, things seem to still be on track in terms of the U.S. economy.
All right, Nesan, thank you so much for your time. That is Nesan Nair from Sasfin. Lots to talk about going into next week. We've also got a host of events that will be playing out as well. And we'll also be monitoring how traders and investors are feeling when it comes to their assessment of the global growth recovery story and also what is happening locally in South Africa. However, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we have SME on Point with Diabo Sito and Your Money.